These Violent Delights, Chapter 34. A light rain starts over the city. The people in the streets run for shelter, hastening to draw their bozoi stalls off the pavement. They snap at their children to hurry, to get inside before the skies fall, and before the roar of sound echoes up from the south. By now everyone has heard the rumors. A communist revolt plots to stir today in Nancy. At first they planned a slow uprising, factory after factory following each other's example in a precise domino effect. Now they hurry. They have heard about the murder of their Secretary General. They worry that there is an assassin after the party. They scream in vengeance and vow to raise with the workers of the party all at once, before any one segment can be cut down. The rain trickles on. Upon a rooftop, 5 young gangsters are one of the few still spots in the city, unbothered by the gray weather. They sit scattered on the concrete tiling, 2 side by side in equal concentration, 2 close together, and one facing the city. Her face turned to the wind, letting the beads of water soak into her hair. They simmer in misery. Their attempts at saving a beloved little blonde girl in the hospital may have sped up her demise instead. If chaos truly erupts today, then death is soon to follow. They can only pray and pray that a rumor is a rumor. They can only hold on to their belief that whispers in the city mutate faster than disease and hope for once they are correct. The wind blows. A bird squawks. Perhaps we should run away. The madness is bound to spread to every corner of the city at some point. Where would we go? They have started calling America the land of dreams. A snort floats up into the clouds. It is a sound that exists incongruous with the rest of the anxiety sweeping along the city's arteries. It is the only sound that epitomizes this land in question. Somehow, both charming and terrible, both dismissive and weighted down. The land of dreams, where men and women in white hoods roam the streets to murder black folks, where written laws prohibit the Chinese from stepping upon its shores, where immigrant children are separated from immigrant mothers on Ellis Island, never to be seen again. Even the land of dreams seems to wake up sometimes. And though there may be beauty beneath its core rot, though it is a big and open and plentiful hiding those who want to be hidden and shining on those who wish to be remembered, it is elsewhere. This is where we belong, Roma. This is where we will always belong. The voice quavers even with the surety of such words. They fool themselves. These heirs think themselves kings and queens, sitting on a throne of gold and overlooking a glittering, wealthy empire. They are not. They are criminals. Criminals at the top of an empire of thieves and drug lords and pimps, preparing to inherit a broken, terrible, defeated thing that looks upon them in sadness. Shanghai knows. It has always known. This whole damn place is about to fall apart. We waste time hiding up here, Marshall said. He was sitting with heavy impatience, constantly shuffling forward or toeing his shoes along the lines in the concrete. What would you have us do? Juliet asked, tipping her head back. She resisted leaning right into Roma, if only because that would look rather horrifying from Kathleen's point of view. If the Larkspur had some role in this, he has moved location since our last visit and erased every trace of his physical existence. If the Larkspur has no role in this and lied to us about Zangutai's guilt, only so we would kill him, that's it. Juliet splayed her hands. Dead end. Impossible, Kathleen muttered under her breath. In a city so big, how can no one else know anything? It's not a matter of whether someone else knows anything, Benedict said. It is the time we have left. We cannot move Elisa from her machines at the hospital without endangering her. We also cannot leave her there when the factory next door rises up in revolt. They may not rise for weeks, Marshall said. The numbers at their meetings are still low. Their force has not grown quite so mighty yet. Roma shook his head. The movement trembled his frame. Their force is not mighty, he said. But everybody else is weak. This madness has taken too many, if not in body, then in mind. Those who remain alive do not remain loyal. A matter of time, Kathleen echoed. Benedict sighed fiercely. None of this makes any sense. Marshall muttered something quietly to him, and he hissed something back, noting the conversations to have split and Kathleen to be deep in thought. Juliet craned her head back to Roma, clicking her tongue for his attention. "We'll figure it out," Juliet said when Roma looked down. "She is not lost." "For now she is not," he replied, his voice low. "But they will kill her. They will slit her throat while she sleeps. She will die as my mother did." Juliet blinked. She straightened up, turning to face him properly. "Your mother died of illness." A raindrop landed on Roma's cheek. He wiped it off, the motion looking exactly as it would if he had brushed aside a teardrop instead. When their gazes met, there was no confusion on Roma's part, no puzzlement over why Juliet would believe such to be the case. There was only a soft flinching. Sadness. "Wasn't it?" Juliet prompted. For whatever reason, the insides of her wrists began to sweat. "How could your mother's throat have been slit from illness?" Roma shook his head. He said gently, like a caress, "It was a scarlet hit, Dorogaya." Suddenly, Juliet could not breathe. Her vision became invaded by terrible violent dots. Her head grew light. It took all her effort to remain still, remain outwardly unaffected. "But the blood feud is the blood feud. Don't think much on it. Don't dwell. It's not your fault." I thought it was illness," Juliet barely managed. They said it was an illness." Lady Matsugava had died 2 weeks after Juliet left Shanghai, 2 weeks after the attack on the Scarlet House had killed all their servants. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. The white flowers only maintained what not to lose face, Roma said. She was found with a red rose forced in her hands. "Wait!" The sudden exclamation came from Benedict, and Juliet startled to attention with a sudden, solid jerk forward, drawing a strange glance from Roma. He placed a reassuring hand on her back. All the gestures of their past remembered again, with no need for a formal reintroduction. But Juliet barely registered it. Her mind was racing. "You have to tell him. He has to know. He'll never forgive me." Juliet shook her head quickly, clearing her thoughts. This was a matter to address later. It did no good to think on it now. "What did the Larkspur say to you?" Benedict demanded now. "Give it to me word for word." "Benedict, we already told you earlier." "Again," he said sharply. "Something is very familiar about this." Roma and Juliet exchanged a curious glance. "He said," Roma replied, "Zangutai is turning himself into a monster. I am making the vaccine using information he is giving me." Benedict's hand rocketed out to grip Marshall's shoulder. "Before that?" "It is a little irrelevant," Juliet replied, wrinkling her nose. "If you told me before, tell me again." He asked, "You wish to know my business with Zangutai?" Roma replied, "Benedict, what is it?" Benedict's frown deepened and deepened. Kathleen crept forward as if it wasn't enough for the 5 of them to be dispersed across the small rooftop anymore. They had to draw tighter and tighter, making a circle to prevent the information between them from escaping. "When we were staking out Zangutai's apartments," Benedict said slowly, "we saw foreigner after foreigner come in to speak with his personal assistant. They attempted to talk politics, but left within minutes." A fat droplet of rain came down on his forehead. "Is this about the Frenchman you chased after?" Marshall asked. Benedict nodded. "I tried to threaten him into telling me what he was doing there," he said. "But he only insisted that his business with Zangutai was none of mine. At the time I did not think it was so strange, but—" Benedict frowned. Why would he speak on his business with Zangutai so specifically if it was his assistant whom he was meeting with? The facts began to line up in Juliet's head too, one by one. Perhaps the Larkspur was under a false impression. "Zangutai's personal assistant," Juliet said. "I don't suppose he is also Zangutai's professional assistant at Labor Daily?" "Yes, he is." Kathleen answered confidently. Ki Ren. He is his note-taker at communist meetings. He must also be his transcriber at work. The empty desk with the memo for Zhang Gutai, the drawings of the monster, the shuddering back door as if somebody had just vacated their desk and feeling the onslaught of a transformation, hurrying outside so nobody would see. She recalled Ki Ren's attempt at introducing himself as Zhang Gutai when she and Roma had showed up at his door. She recalled his easy answer, as if he was used to doing so, as if his job was to take the meetings Zhang Gutai did not wish to waste time with, as if he was used to impersonating his superior, acting on his behalf to the clueless foreigners who came knocking for meetings. Maybe the Larkspur did not lie, Juliet said quietly. Maybe he thought he was telling the truth in revealing Zhang Gutai to be the monster. Which would mean Zhang Gutai was never the monster of Shanghai. Ki Ren was. Without warning, the building beneath their feet rocketed with a hard jolt. The 5 of them shot up, bracing for attack. Nothing immediately came. But as shouting started from the streets below and the sensation of heat blew into the rain, they realized something was very, very wrong. Their vantage point up on the rooftop allowed their sights to extend 2 or 3 streets in each direction. To the west, a fire was roaring in the yard of a police station. There had been an explosion. That had been the impact felt beneath their feet. It had shaken all the rickety neighboring buildings, unsettling a fine layer of dust and grit that floated down to the pavements. And in such dust, workers were pouring into the police station like a colony of ants, all with red rags tied around their right arms as bright as beacons. This was not the clean-cut uniform of a foreign army. These were the rags of the people, rising up from within. It's starting here, Juliet murmured in disbelief. The protests are starting in the city itself. It was genius. There would be too much havoc to put a quick stop to urban protests. The chaos in the city would galvanize those in the outskirts, would incite them to rise up in steel-baked urgency and roaring mayhem. It is starting. The hospital, Roma gasped. Benedict, Marshall, get to the hospital. Protect Elisa. Protect her until they could kill the monster. Go home, Juliet meanwhile commanded Kathleen. Grab all the messengers. Have them warn the factory owners to flee immediately. They surely had been warned already to be cautious about an uprising, warned against the mass meetings screaming for an end to gangster rule, but no one would have known it would start with such intensity. They would not be expecting such vigor. They would pay for the miscalculation with their heads. Kathleen, Benedict, and Marshall hurried off, sparing no time. Only Roma and Juliet were left for a beat longer on that rooftop, surrounded by fire and bedlam. Once more, Juliet promised. This time, we do it right.